Namaste. 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 All of you be seated. All of you sit straight, fold the palms in front of your chest, close your eyes completely. Let the breath come back to normalcy. Have a passive throat so that the irritation is lessened. A slow, soft inhalation, slow, soft exhalation. Have an eye on the spine, anterior spine, whether you can lift up nicely, find out. The whole body has to be available to you to breathe in a proper manner. Keep your brain quiet. Descend from the brain cells. You should not hit your brain upward. The navel and surrounding area of the navel quiet, so that the body finds its stability. A slow, soft, smooth breath where you have to experience the receding that occurs from inside. Having the quietness of the mind, in your center of the chest, where I yesterday referred to the soul, see that you establish in that area, opening that area with the space, so that small inner lift makes you to be strongly aware of your inner world. And let Lord Patanjali come in that area with that steadiness where we can hold him, which is called as dharana. In that area we hold the Lord in our heart. Maintain that state. We will be saying the prayers together, and that's why I don't want any disturbance occurring in that center area of our existence, the very core of our existence. चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः हरिः ओम्। Bow down to Lord Patanjali and Guruji. Bring your arms slowly down. Raise your head up and open the eyes. And as today is the last day, of course I don't want to exert you. Whatever all these 9 days I have given, with all these explanations, you have to now bring it to the surface in your own practices, and perhaps that will guide you. So first you will be starting your Supta Baddha Konasana, having the arrangement of the blankets, 2 or 3 as per requirement. You can have 3 blankets for the back and 1 blanket for the head. Have a belt, tie the belt to the legs, and then you will be going to Supta Baddha Konasana, alternating your head position so that you get place. And lie down in that position. Of course, Gulnaz and Uday will be showing there on the platform, having belt. At least one of you have the belt, and show how the belt has to go to the lower portion of your trunk so that lumbar doesn't get caught. Gulnaz is there. Her belt has gone to the lower back in such a manner that you get the extension or traction, but you should not get caught at the lumbar region. That is how you need to keep that belt and tie it in the front. If you are very bad as far as the knee is concerned, then you need 2 belts if you have. You have to put one separate to the right leg and the other separate to the left leg, if you have the 2 belts over there. Because many a time the thickness of the thigh or groin stiffness, sacrum problem doesn't allow you to go flat with the one strap. In that case, as Uday is doing, he has 2 straps. He ties one to the right leg, the other one to the left leg, and when he pulls that belt, you see that he pulls it towards the body, so the buckling has to be correct, where the legs get pulled inward towards your body. And then again, after lying down, you are supposed to watch whether the tightness is sufficient. Don't keep it loose. When the heels don't come closer, or lower leg doesn't come closer to the body, it certainly means that you need 2 belts. One single belt, even if you pull very strongly, the heels won't come closer to your body. The leg has to be pulled, taken inward, and then it should be placed in such a manner that you are in that state where the legs passively recede. Uday has 2 steps, Gulnaz has 1 step, and he has got 2. Everybody has got 2 means you have 2. That is the original correction. I mean, how Guruji, when he found this belt and used for Suptapada Konasana, first he started with 2 belts. Then people in the institute, as number increased, then 2 steps for each one we couldn't provide. And people were not ready to buy the props. That is the psychology of the students. We have paid the fees, so props should be available to us, that's all. And now they have started realizing that bandage or belts, etc. are required as one's own property. So if you have 2 belts, please use 2 belts quickly. I never knew, I thought it's 1 belt. Now I realize that each one has got 2 belts. So put 2 belts, one to the right leg and the other one to the left leg. So both the legs you can pull with that pressure inside, and after lying down again watch whether that belt is tight enough. Put the spine in a proper position on that 3-fold blanket which you have used for your spine. Right now don't take the hands up, keep the arms by the sides of the trunk, holding the edges of the mat. You have to readjust the spine on the blanket. I will wait there, since there are quite a few who have to find either the place or the position. The belt should be closer to the groin. So from ankle to the root of the thigh, you have to tie that belt so the legs come closer there, and it should be closer to the groin. And the buckle should be such that when you pull the belt has to be getting pulled towards your body. It should not be away from the body. You know the tightening process. So when you tighten it, you should feel that the pull is towards your body. So the adjustment with the buckle also is important. You can't put it wrongly where you pull the belt away from the body. That will be wrong. See that the inner corners of the knees open. Gulnaz is pulling the belt. See on the screen you will see how she pulls the belt towards her own body. Those who haven't understood it. When there is a confusion in the mind, you yourself will get up and see in the screen. When I am telling that the belt has to be pulled towards the body, not in the space towards the feet, that will be loose. Still Gulnaz is there on the screen. So if any doubt in the mind, you see what has been shown there on the screen. One thing remember, when you have to tighten, now ask Uday to do that. The buckle should not be towards the shin bone, your buccal should be between the space that is shin calf muscle and the thigh bone. There is a space. So, when you pull that buccal, you find that the buccal goes towards the space which is available between the thigh and the shin bone, and when you pull that, the tightness takes place. If the buccal is touching somewhere the shin area or the thigh area, you can't tighten, because once if it touches the body of yours, tightening becomes difficult. It rubs the skin. But if the buccals are in the space, the tightening becomes more easier, and Buddha is doing, which you can see on the screen. The buccal should not remain either with the bottom leg or the upper leg touching. If you haven't understood, see the screen, so I need not repeat all the time. Actually, your buccal should be placed there between the calf muscle and back of the thigh muscle, which does not touch the body as such, or it does not pinch the skin anywhere. If you have gone wrong, you have to get up and adjust it and then lie down. So, understand that if one asana has to be done, how much time it takes for you to get the feeling, understanding what is right, what is wrong. And until you do correctly, the effects will not be correct, it will be incorrect. Keep both the hands. After that adjustment, put the hands to the sticky mat, hold the edges of the sticky mat. If body somewhere has gone wrong, like center losing, if the center of the spine gets the jerk and descends downwards, you have to learn to place the spine exactly on the middle of the mat, so that the spine gives that support. The shoulders should be back as the blanket supports the center spine. Descend the shoulder bones back. Have a good lift at the armpit chest. The blanket which you are using for the head, if you realize after extending the arms that it should come closer to the shoulders, do adjust that. Then rotate the armpits, rotate the upper arms in such a manner, leaving the edges of the mat, so that you get the place and place your hand in a right position. Close the eyes completely. Bring your upper eyelids downwards to relax. The pupils of the eyes receding deeper inside. A slow, soft, smooth exhalation. A smooth exhalation will lead towards the inhalation. So you exhale the breath, maintain that quietness, and slowly inhale, so that the thoracic begins to respond later gradually. When I say have an abdominal breath, it's a normal abdominal breath where your navel has to recede, the sides of the navel has to recede with the exhalation on the back spine, so nowhere that hardness will be felt. So exhale the breath with understanding, where upper region of the abdomen will be descending away from the bottom thoracic. So first, that is the upper portion of your abdomen which has to descend downwards. Exhale the breath and just make that area to get separated from the thoracic bottom, and keep that abdomen going away from the thoracic and receding back towards the spine to great extent. So with a slow soft exhalation, the abdomen gets well placed, adjusted, but at the same time relaxed on the spine. With eyes closed, inhale in such a way that the bottom rib cage, the edges of the bottom ribs gradually ascend up with the inhalation. They widen to the side, they go up away from the abdomen, and that space will be first achieved, or the space is created by your adjustment. So bottom thoracic comes up and upper abdomen remains away from the bottom thoracic, having that space. A slow soft inhalation, wide open bottom ribs, having that spread, and slow soft exhalation where the abdomen recedes. Keep the sides of the navel spreading away from center, so that wide space will be available to you. Having that spread, when you move with the inhalation, the origin of inhalation you will find somewhere on the sides of the navel, slightly away from the navel. Slowly inhale, and as it goes to the sides of the navel, where the breath gradually reaches, find out, and reaching up to that level, a slow, soft, quiet exhalation. I won't say do deep breath, but the rhythm of the breath or length of the breath, you have to adjust in such a way. At this moment, you feel only the abdominal region from where the inhalation begins, and you witness that area as you feel that area, and that area, that is both the sides of the navel from where the inhalation originates. You will be spreading it to the side, you will feel its depth inside, and having that inhalation, you have to do slow, soft exhalation. As the farmer loosens the soil in order to put the seed inside, in a similar manner, you have to see that you soften that field of the abdomen and bring that softness inside. But the origin of it is, since at the sides of the navel, the first inhalation takes you upward, up to the thoracic. But as you begin to concentrate on the abdominal region, you find that abdominal softness, how it is created, where you inhale from the sides of the navel, reaching up to certain level of your own capacity, and with the exhalation breath, you will release your abdomen very slowly, so that soil of the abdomen is loosened. Each particle is felt clearly where they go away from each other. And from there, as the abdomen finds some relief, some sort of spread from inside, or it recedes down towards the spine, you have to bring your attention to the bottom thoracic, where the bottom of the thoracic, where the false rib cage exists, where the ribs do not meet to the sternum straight away, that area having the space to widen, you have to allow the breath to go. Slowly inhale from sides of the navel and open the bottom ribs to the side with that inhalation where it will be spreading out. Slowly inhale, the bottom rib cage opening to the side. Deal with that side, be with that side to find out how much space you can create, and having that inhalation, slowly exhale, which is again not very deep, though my explanation will be longer. But you have to search that area, you have to reach that area, and you have to wide open that area. So with the inhalation, you find that area getting spread to the side, right side ribs to the right, left side ribs to the left, and diaphragm becomes free at that moment to have its movement. Slowly inhale, spreading to the side, and while exhaling, do not allow the bottom ribs to come closer. So slowly inhale, open the bottom ribs to the side, and slow, soft exhalation. So still you are having that passivity of the breath as far as abdomen and bottom of the thoracic chest is concerned. Slowly inhale and slowly exhale. These two areas, that is abdomen and bottom rib region, when you deal with these areas in pranayama or breathing, it brings the soothing sensation to the brain because it's a passive activity. It's not an active activity at this moment. With the passive activity, the digging action of the abdomen will be slow. As it's slow, you can penetrate more deeper inward in that region. But now, when you choose the middle chest and upper chest, it will be a stronger movement, and there you can't leave your dorsal spine just to remain in a hanging way. The dorsal spine has to get involved in the process of breathing. So now when you exhale the breath, let the abdomen recede deeply downward and slowly inhale, where from bottom rib to the middle chest or above even if it goes, actively open the bottom thoracic and as you come to the middle chest, see that there is a lift from back side towards the front of the chest. Knowing this background, now slowly inhale. As you come to the center, lift the back of the dorsal region from back side to the front and gradually inhale, where you find the middle chest ascending upward and giving you the freedom. It ascends up towards the ceiling, its opening is towards the ceiling, and maintaining that a slow soft exhalation. With that exhalation, you have to have those normal soft breaths when it becomes deep. If it's not becoming, don't worry, you can proceed with deep inhalation, which begins from the sides of the navel, but reaching the middle chest, it opens up more. Slowly inhale with the middle chest up and even perhaps the upper chest gradually spreading, coming up. Having that inhalation, slowly exhale the breath, where again the abdomen will be down, showing are having that direction of decision. And now after the exhalation, find out whether middle chest you can connect to the upper chest. That means breathing may start somewhere with the abdomen. But if you don't touch the middle chest, better to have the beginning of inhalation slightly above, somewhere at the thoracic region, at the bottom where the false rib cage exists. Slowly inhale, and from middle chest to the upper chest, have that freedom, and completing that inhalation, slowly exhale the breath. Slowly inhale, where the bottom of the middle chest near the below the nipple region will be having its opening for the inhalation, and maintaining that lift, slowly exhale the breath. So your middle chest and upper chest you have to give enough time so that they have a good space and receive the breath, and while exhaling there is no sudden drop or sudden fall. After 2 cycles, come back to normal breath and let the body receive quietly. After the exhalation, gradually open the eyes. Don't shake your head. And then slowly come up and remove the bells. Come up and remove the bells. Next pose is Supta Virasana. So place your legs in Virasana. Sitting in Virasana, open the calf muscles properly and your buttocks closer to that blanket so that waistline, the upper buttock will be away from the bolster. Even the upper buttock will be away from the, away from the blankets, and then you can go to Supta Virasana. And those who cannot do Virasana have the bolster. I have to take Supta Virasana. So if you need a height, you need extra height, you have to have that, finding out the blankets or bolster, which has been brought here, few bolsters which you can make use of, not for all, for all. If blankets you can manage, please do that. And as you lay your spine down, release the buttocks away. Move the buttocks away from the spine away from the blanket, and that space which is available, have that space where the spine has to recede a bit down. Supta Virasana, having the adjustments as per your need, rolling the shoulders back, move the back ribs in, and lie down on your back. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest upward, your dorsal should be higher compared to the abdomen. Don't use any strap right now. If you have to use the strap, the legs will be tight, but it should not be only to the thighs. You have to go towards the front, back of the shin bone, the shin bone which is on the floor, from shin to the thigh, you have to tie the legs together. But many people just tie only the thighs together, which is wrong. From shin, that means back shin to the thigh, you have to come up with that strap in order to tighten, and if it is not possible, lie down on the plain, on that blanket without having strap, because that brings a tightness. If it is not possible for you to bear, then you forget about it. Lie down on your back. The difference between Supta Virasana and Supta Baddha Konasana is, in Supta Baddha Konasana, from center to the side the body can be spread easily, whereas in Supta Virasana it is a vertical extension from bottom to the top. So lying down, you have to have your arms down towards the sides of the blanket, and gripping that well, you have to ascend upward your trunk on the mat, on that blanket, so that ascendance makes you to be free in the thoracic chest. And as far as Supta Virasana is concerned, is thoracic lifting, so the height will be increasing and the abdomen will be descending, and it will be receding down towards the lumbar spine. Exhale the breath, slowly inhale. Longer will be the inhalation as far as thoracic is concerned, as is a lengthwise pose. Supta Virasana itself is a lengthwise pose. It is not a horizontal, though horizontally you have to open, but the shape itself is more vertical. Slowly inhale, having that verticality, and slowly exhale the breath. And stay in that pose for a while. Gradually opening the chest. Sides of the chest in Supta Virasana will be alert compared to the middle one. You feel your abdominal length also increasing. So how the exhalation makes you to get that process of exhalation, where towards the end of exhalation you find somewhere the breath is entering deep inside down towards the abdominal region, And slowly inhale from sides of the navel to come towards the thoracic and open it upward. Slowly inhale and maintaining that lift of the chest, slowly exhale. Let your front of the thighs recede downwards. Especially bending of the knees when it becomes difficult, you normally puff your thighs. So first with the exhalation, the puffing of the thighs has to be lessened. The front of the thighs should not go towards the ceiling. You have to make them to recede downwards towards the back of the thighs, which makes your chest to be slightly above the level of the thoracic. Of course, it is above the level of the abdomen. Have the thoracic lift with the inhalation and slowly exhale where the abdomen recedes along with the front thighs down towards the back of the thighs. Slowly inhale. Shoulders back. Both the shoulders descending. The armpit chest slightly, this armpit chest will open more than Baddha Konasana here. That's why I said verticality is important. Slowly inhale from the sides of the trunk to go up and slowly exhale. Now here I will introduce a bit deeper inhalation. That's why I said first few cycles where the breath gets accustomed to that length of the chest. The side length of the chest which is there, understand that the relationship between the inhalation breath and sides of the chest. At this point of time, inhalation. As you have to go with that vertical ascending action, you have to know this specially because in Shirshasana, Sarvangasana, if we say, the energy has to reach everywhere, you don't understand because at that time there is still halfway struggle for you to hold in Shirshasana yourself. But when it comes to Supta Virasana, it's a lying down position. That is the advantage today in supine posture I am explaining to you. When you are inhaling, your sides of the chest, sides of the rib cage are the trunk which belongs to the side body, that one you can gradually inhale with side chest from bottom to the top where the length will be known to you. Having a good length of the sides of the chest, we can gradually lift the front chest up towards the ceiling and slowly exhale the breath. So that lifted chest doesn't get dropped. And slowly after the exhalation, you can have normal breath, 1 or 2 as per your requirement, and then again go for the inhalation where the side chest will find its full length or give you a good length, and then the bottom, side of the ribs also give you the armpit opening which is from back to the front. Slowly inhale in that manner and make the sides of the chest visible, tangible from inside. As we are touching it from inside, the sides of the chest, whole space you have to feel in that manner with the shoulders back and armpit chest forward. Measure that full length of the body, width of the chest, the lift of the chest with inhalation itself. And maintaining that lift, slowly you have to exhale. Where the abdomen, sides of the navel you find receding downward. Then slowly inhale where the chest opens from the sides in order to give you a good lift. A lift is on both ways. You find from bottom to the top and from back to the front. Find out how much the chest can come up, how much it can be puffed to the side. It's not that you have to puff more or lift more, that's not the process. With the inhalation breath, how the change occurs, that's what you need to watch. And while exhaling, there should not be a sudden drop in your chest or intercostal muscles or rib cage where it may just slide down. Slow, quiet, passive inhalation. And slow, soft, passive exhalation. Then after the exhalation, slowly open the eyes, then come up and release the belt. Your legs have to come back to normalcy, so release the legs, stretch out the legs and let them first get their extension, as in both the poses they were folded. Now we will be sitting for forward bend. You have to have the blanket folded for your head to rest on the shin bone. Janu Shirshasana, bend your right leg and left leg straight. So first position yourself in Janu Shirshasana. Listen to me carefully. I have indicated what you have to do. Bend your right leg and keep your left leg straight. First be in that position. Keep the blankets nearby as folding of the blankets will be required. Sit in position of Janu Shirshasana. Bend the right leg, keep the left leg straight. Parivrutta Janu Shirshasana, to release the sides of the trunk. Take the left hand from inside. Right leg bent and going backward a bit, and left leg straight. Yeah. And now begin. Take your left hand forward to touch that inner edge of the foot. Hold that inner edge of the foot with left palm, the arc of the foot heel wherever you reach, and take the right hand over the ear for Parivrutta Janu Shirshasana, where the abdomen turns. Abdomen turns from right to the left, and get a good extension on the right side of the trunk for better Janu Shirshasana. Your right side of the trunk has to get extended, so you get a better Janu Shirshasana later. Open up that area, the side rib edge. The edge has to open up in that manner with the length. And then inhale and come up. Change the side. Your right leg straight, bend your left leg. And now take the left hand from inside, the right hand from inside to hold the inner foot, and take the left hand over the head. Turn. Just open now that side edge which is on the top. That means the free side of the trunk has to open up more to get the length and intercostal muscles or rib cage opening as you were lying down for a long time. So it is the left side of the trunk which opens more. That will remove your backache also, and you get that full extension. Then come up, and now you will be going for Janu Shirshasana. bend your right leg and extend your left leg. Put the blanket on the shin bone, 2 or 3 as per your requirement, since you have to rest your forehead on that. Put your blankets on the shin bone, so your forehead touches the blanket edge and nose will be free. Exhale and elongating the tongue, go forward and rest your forehead on the edge of the blanket. Your nose is free to have a fresh air, but the forehead will be really in a resting pose. Learn and stay there just for a while to have the understanding. The back of the trunk now has to be flat. The other day, as I said, elbows away from each other, your shoulders also from the neck away from each other. You have to create that space, and as the head rests, your back of the trunk has to recede into the body, as though back ribs are dissolving into the frontal chest. And also with that grip of the hand, you have to go further forward, so vertical extension of the trunk will be available. Horizontal opening is where the spine recedes into the body and sides of the chest go more and more to the side. Horizontal is such that you spreads from the spine to the side, from sternum to the side, but head rests, cervical neck restful, forehead in a restful state. So experience that feel of trunk descending on the bed of the extended leg. With exhalation breath, make your back trunk to recede downwards. Exhale and descend your back of the trunk, the muscle fibers in that area which normally remains rigid to descend downwards, so they become quiet. Then inhale and come up, change the side. Now right leg will be straight, left leg will be bent. Adjust in the same manner the blankets, bolster, whatever you needed to have the frontal brain in a restful state. And now exhale and go down. Rest your forehead on the blanket, but don't make your trunk to shrink. If you have got a freedom to proceed further, you can move the blanket also slightly away and proceed further with your sides of the trunk. So you don't hold it at one place. Exhale and descend down. Similarly, exhale and extend forward. Again, exhale and extend forward, exhale and rest your forehead where the trunk elongates and at the same time it finds the restful state of his. Throat passive, tongue passive, as though sometimes digging your forehead on that blanket, you have to move the sides of the trunk to go forward, which gives further freedom to you. And be quiet in that state. When you stay in that pose, release skin fibers, muscle fibers, so they begin to be in the restful state. Then inhale and come up. Paschimottanasana, both the legs straight. Have the blankets on the shin, or find out your forehead where it reaches. Accordingly, you have to move your blankets also away, so that length of the sides of the trunk will be maintained. Exhale and go down, holding the feet. Put the blankets on the shin bone. Rest your forehead on that. Understand how you have to rest yourself in forward bends. Sometimes the head temples, etc., so that you quieten your brain from inside. Release from the sides of the trunk. Release the body forward from the armpit area. They should not remain closed in that armpit region. See how many of you need to have extra support? Since the head doesn't rest that easily on that piled blankets, or even some of them have used the bricks for the forehead to rest. Release the sternum region, release the sides of the chest at the front, the rib cage widening, as though your chest is looking into the mirror of that thigh. Slowly with the inhalation come up, remove the blankets. Now use the same blankets for your Sarvangasana. Have the fourfold blanket, as all these days you have worked with the blankets, you know what height you need. Your head and place for halasana will be required. Put the blankets, Sarvangasana. Send someone else. Munnas, send someone person. Adjust your blankets, whatever the length is required, width, the height is required. You can place the shoulders there on that corner, use the blankets for the arms. Because now, today I won't explain. I have explained if the seat doesn't go up, put the brick over there. Some of them have to use the bolster if they have got one. And chair Sarvangasana for pregnant women. Lie down on your back with shoulders adjusted on the edge. You can go to halasana, adjusting your sides of the trunk. You can have palms on your back. So go up. As you go up, put your feet in halasana position. Whatever length of the blanket required for the shoulder and neck, observe that and maintaining yourself in that state. From halasana, you have to go to Sarvangasana when the palms are well placed or when the sides of the chest are well lifted, opened. The palms going deeper into the back trunk with the sides of the trunk completely opening. Today I won't explain you too much, but you just find out whatever I explained all these days, whether you are remembering, whether you are able to add those things when you are positioning yourself, like the sides of the trunk lifting, armpit opening. The other day I said if the armpit just does not open, you can go to halasana, you can release the shoulders backward and lift the armpit chest more and more higher up. So find out if you can work on those areas now. So once when you are in upright position, it does not mean that you have ended your pose. You have to have a good lift with upper arms digging downward, side chest opening. It has to have a good lift. And back of the trunk, near the armpit especially, has to come from back to the front, opening that front area. The correction is sometimes such, since you are standing like that, your back of the trunk from bottom shoulder blade to the heels have to come forward, slightly going yourself forward. You have to lift your back and then support the back of the trunk with your palms. Now those ladies who are in periods, they need not go again to the same pose like Supta Baddha Konasana. Rather they can have folded blankets or breeks for their Setubandha Sarvangasana. They need not be again in the supine position as already they have finished. So have a break, or you can fold that the extra blankets that you have and making it like a stool or Viparit Karni box. You can lie down on that for your Setubandha Sarvangasana. Once if the forward bends are over again, don't go for it. So find out yourself how you will do that Setubandha Sarvangasana. Others are in Sarvangasana because they have to finish the Sarvangasana and Halasana. The palms should support in such a manner when you dig your palms into the back. Of course, the back ribs will move forward is the fact. The movement will be in the back ribs. But at the same time, when the back ribs move to the front, your frontal chest has to ascend further higher and do that. Do not push your buttocks backward. I don't want, as I said, the question mark over there in your Sarvangasana. Move the buttocks in order to have a good lift. Dig the upper arms down in order to have a lift of the sides of the chest. Lift the sides of the chest higher. Higher than what you have done. Because somewhere the drop in the sacrum is not good. The sacrum spine should not get dropped. So that is a different lift. Palms supporting the back of the chest and opening the chest is one thing. But another action is that when once with the palms, the back ribs go to the frontal chest, you have to move the buttocks into the body. That means your waistline and buttocks the waistline and the buttocks have to come forward. both the eyes quiet. You have to look somewhere from bottom sternum to the navel and not to dig your eyes deeper downward. Otherwise, if you take it towards the upper chest too much, then head becomes heavy. So, it is an eye level. When you are in topsy-turvy, there is an eye level. Your eyes won't see the ceiling, then it is not eye level. The eyes in eye level means your eyes have to see somewhere bottom rib, navel, where the brain remains quiet. That means the eye relationship are looking at the eyes when have to be looking at one place. The relationship is between the chest and the eyes, trunk and the eyes, where you should not feel any kind of strain in your brain. If you look upward also, the brain will be heavy. Or if you dig your eyes downward, then also the brain will be heavy. So, you have to know where you will adjust your eyes so that there won't be any kind of heaviness or knot in the brain, because they come closer then. The brain cells come so much sinking inside that you get sort of heaviness. So, observe that, because again if it's the eyes, if I have to teach right from Shanmukhi Mudra, I have to start with that how the eyes will be looking, where the eyes will look in each asanas. In each asana that will be differing, it is not same. A rigid discipline over there. Then exhale and go to halasana with the legs apart. On the other day I said how much to keep the legs apart? Almost in line with the outer thigh, or a little more, so that your chest spreads to the side. The chest has to spread to the side. And then remove the belts. First let the hands remain behind in order to have a good lift of the back of the trunk. Setuban people stay there. They are not to come down. They need not come down. Have a good lift from the sides of the trunk, vertical lift. And then take the arms over the head, so the arm remain in a restful state. Then exhale and slowly come down. With bent legs you can come down so that you don't dash with each other. Now have brick Setubandha Sarvangasana, those who did Sarvangasana and Halasana. Have a brick for your tailbone, sacrum region, and do Setubandha Sarvangasana on the platform. These people are doing with the brick. You have to first lie down, raise the buttocks up, and then vertically support with the brick the tailbone sacrum area. Don't come towards the tailbone end, but at such a place where you find the sacrum dividing properly towards the tailbone as well as towards the lumbar. So you are not overthrowing your body. the narrow side of the brick supporting. As though that narrow brick is going into your sacrum region. Buddha is already on the screen, find out how he has put it. And lift your back ribs to the frontal chest, opening the chest. And those who did already the brick Setuman Sarvangasana, be seated in Upavishta Konasana. Sit in Upavishta Konasana, spread the legs apart, sit on the height a bit. And widen the legs to the side. That takes out this strain. In Briggs Setubandha Sarvangasana, right now don't interlock the fingers, but extend your arms from shoulder bone right up to the tip of the fingers. Put your palms turned towards the ceiling and lift the armpit chest up. Maintain the lift of the armpit from back to the front. And those who are in Upavishta Konasana, spreading the legs apart, put the hands by the side of the seat and remain tall. In that position, you have to look taller than what you are. Lift the armpit chest. Digging the upper arms downwards, lift the armpit area higher upward. Breathe in such a way, the front of the chest from the sternum region to the side widens the rib cage, the intercostal muscle. Those are sitting in Upavishta Konasana also follow that. From sternum to the side, open up the chest to the side. With the inhalation, you find that area opening, having space, which keep the width of the chest growing to some extent, as the intercostal muscle will give the freedom. And in Setuman Sarvangasana, when you open the bottom rib cage, especially when the brick is supporting, because it is a limit. In Setuman Sarvangasana, brick is the small support where you can't open more than that. But having that support, if you open up the bottom rib cage, bottom rib edges to the side more, then you find you have got more space. So create that space at the bottom rib cage area where it has to open to the side, right going to the right, left going to the left, and those who are in Upavishta Konasana also follow the same instruction where the side ribs will be open to the side. When you extend your legs in Setuman Sarvangasana away from the body, you throw it away from the root of the thigh, whereas you have to extend the legs away, and in that lifting process from buttocks towards the pelvic region, you have to see that the extended leg from heels to the toes allow you to go higher upward. Maintain that lift. maintain that inner ascendance. Then walk in with the feet, raise the buttocks upward, pump upward the seat area, lifting it up, remove the brick to the side and slowly come down. Let the sacrum region first descend downwards and take the sacrum away from the waistline, so the buttock region remain, create the space in lumbar and sacrum gets the wide space. Now slowly come up, and now you have to adjust yourself for Shavasana, having that keep the blanket horizontal, as because now vertical you did in Supta Virasana and Supta Baddha Konasana. I do not want that repetition. Last time I had said how you have to double up the blanket and roll the blanket for the dorsal chest. I have taught you that. No, double up the blanket, show that. Gulnaz is showing, Uday, you too, just show. They can focus the camera as they want to. Having doubled up, you have to roll the blanket for the chest and keep another blanket for the head, as you have to alternate yourself. You may require the extra blanket as you have got 4. If you remember Rajvi and Birju, they were doing on the platform, rolled blanket to the armpit chest. The rolled blanket goes towards the armpit chest, half of the scapulae and chest region. You can be up slightly or down as the place will be available for you, and accordingly you have to widen your arms to the side in that position. Is there a confusion or everybody knows? You have to climb up on that rolled blanket for the chest to get the freedom, and adjust accordingly the blanket for the back of the head, which should not be thrown away from the body.